I am so happy with how this looks for the Rangers. We have a pitcher, Jack Leiter, and he is a dude.
And while I do think his hitting is worse than Derek Jeter, it's not that far off.
You're not mentioning 2006. You can mention the other people, not 2006.
Oh, just because I bought the best soap doesn't mean your room's going to be clean. It just leaves it to where I don't believe that the Canadians had a shot.
I really don't like the Clippers just kind of sending it in when they're like...
Hi, this is Kelly Forbes with the Dallas Stars, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NBA Opinions of the Week, and the trade deadline is approaching, Austin, but there are not really any rumors coming around. So the question is, does something major happen this season?
Yeah, and I think the most desperate team is the Warriors. Jimmy Butler tore his ACL. That happened a week ago, probably. And then Giannis recently declared himself to be out 4 to 6 weeks. He didn't get an opinion. He said, they'll probably tell me I'll pop something in my calf and I'll be out 4 to 6 weeks. That's what he said in the interview. So he basically self-diagnosed himself with this injury after, in the first quarter, getting hurt and then coming back himself. He checked himself back into the game, basically, which is kind of a sign to me that he could play through this injury at bare minimum if he has anything. But I think, and this was said on ESPN, but I think that all these teams are waiting to see if Giannis is going to be on the table, because that is an addition you can make that would completely revolutionize any roster and would also cause some teams to make different trades because they want to still compete even if they aren't getting Giannis. So the question really is, does Giannis get moved this trade season? I think eventually he will get moved, but I don't know if it's going to be this trade season. Do you think he'll get traded this season?
I'm going to say no. I know there's been a lot of stuff. I think he stays with Milwaukee.
Okay. I'm 50-50, but it's obvious that he's not going to stay with this team much longer. And I don't think he survives this offseason. Let's put it like that. I don't think there's a chance that by this offseason he's not gone. But is it this season? I don't know, because there has to be, because of the ways the contract works now and the luxury tax and all this other stuff, the aprons and the second apron, it makes it kind of difficult to make trades during the season now, especially with the contract as large as his. So I do think that there needs to be some sort of move to a smaller market team or a team that has a lot of cap space, which the Warriors are not that. I think there'll be at least some small trades this trade season, but I don't know if Giannis gets traded or not.
Yeah, I like to be optimistic and think Giannis and the Bucks work something out to where he stays, because it'd be sad for him to go, but it does not look that way. And I do think there'll be small trades. I know there's rumors about Kuminga, but Ja, I think, is not having much of a market. And then I would say the only major guy that I think gets moved is Anthony Davis. I know with his injury, that has really derailed kind of that market. But I do think the Mavericks are desperate to trade Anthony Davis.
You think they are desperate?
Yeah, I think they are desperate.
I don't think they're going to be able to trade him.
Yeah, I think they find a way to trade him, or there are talks about Daniel Gafford possibly getting traded from the Mavericks.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is going to be a weak, or at least weaker, trade season than we've seen in the past, because I just don't know if many teams want to make that many moves. And that's sad, because the NBA trade season is usually relatively active.
It's become one of the best in the past few years. MLB trade deadline is kind of cooled off. It's usually the NBA trade deadline, but yeah, I do think there could be a shocking trade because the Luka Doncic trade was a massively shocking trade, but that was kind of ineptitude from the general manager. I also think the market is in kind of a weird phase because you have a lot of yes, the Luka trade was bad, but it also set the market differently, and we saw that with Trae Young too in his trade, and how we talked about how that there were not many assets involved in that trade. So if you're talking about Giannis getting traded, if those talks are happening, what do you go with? What some stars have been traded as from teams, or kind of what other trades have been like with Desmond Bane getting traded from the Grizzlies to the Magic for multiple first-round picks. So that to me is another part that is impacting this trade deadline.
Yeah, that's true. And I do think that I don't know. I really don't know if there's going to be a lot of moves this trade season. And I think with the surplus of injuries we've seen, major injuries, I do think makes it a little bit harder because I don't think the Nuggets can make a trade until they know Jokic is 100%. I think that they're in a spot where they like their roster, but also they could make a move potentially because they've lost all the cap space that Michael Porter Jr. had, and maybe they get rid of Cam Johnson and something for another wing, but I don't know if they're going to be wanting to do that. And then if Giannis was to be traded this offseason or this trade season, what is the asking price in your opinion? What do you think it is?
So Giannis is 30, correct, right? Or approaching 30?
Is he 30? That's a great question.
Okay, I have it
Yes.
now. He's actually 31.
Okay.
So looking at that age, I would say, but still he's a high profile player. I would say 2 first round picks and then a promising player. And you also have to make it work with the contract. So probably a contract piece, a promising player, and 2 first round picks.
Yeah, because I think the Bucks are losing a lot of their leverage in any sort of deal because of their relationship with Giannis. But that also may cause them not to trade him because at the end of the day, they don't have to do anything if they don't want to.
Yeah, and Giannis is always going to be a high profile player, and that you will get something back, at least a first round pick and a promising player, in my opinion. Another player that I'm interested in his market, it is not a high profile player, but could be a smaller move, is Jonathan Kuminga. Is like, you want to talk about deteriorating relationship. This seems to be very like a bad relationship, as he doesn't want to stay with the Golden State Warriors. And he's a young player, but I don't see a lot of teams lining up for him. So
If
it's
there
unclear.
were any
Yeah.
teams lining up for him, I think he'd be gone already.
Yeah. That's true. Because, like, if you want to take a shot on the young player, and not to, like, dog on the Mavericks, but you might bring Kuminga in. I don't know what that trade looks like, but that, to me, is kind of the only team where or the Hawks. I'm trying to think of, like, a lower-end team that is trying to make something work and just needs better pieces.
Yeah. This year just feels a little bit weird. Like I feel like last year and years before, there was a trade imminent and we could like feel it. I don't know if I don't really feel it right now. It feels a little bit, I don't know, less clear about what moves are going to be made and who's going to be traded where. Do you think any all-star level player will get traded this trade season?
Yes.
And do you think it'd be AD?
Yeah, I think it would be
Yeah,
AD.
I don't think AD can. I don't think AD is tradable because of his injury. I think it really I mean, are you going to trade him for actually nothing? I don't think you can.
I don't know. I think a lot of it is they still haven't found a GM to replace Harrison. They have guys doing it, but are those the guys planning for the long-term future of the team?
Yeah. No. And I don't think an all-star level player gets traded. We'll see. I hope, because I like it when that happens, but I'm not very confident in its possibilities.
Yeah, and it's really fun when that happens, but we will have to see. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We will keep you covered no matter what. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.